Hey everybody, how's it going? It is LaFouilleXD here running the final fight of the King's Fall raid, the Oryx fight. It's what you and your fire team have been waiting for this entire time. So go ahead and buckle up, as there are going to be a lot of mechanics going on here. So it's going to be similar to the Daughters fight using the pads. It's going to be the same numbering system and the same counterclockwise sequence that you'll need to be using. So I'm going to stop right here for a second in case you are coming back to this video to reference one of the specific phases throughout the fight. Here's a breakdown, there they are. Go ahead and click on whichever phase you want to see and it will take you right there to it. Alright, getting back into it, we need to make sure we have one player assigned to each pad. And as before, you had the two in the center. It's the same thing as the Daughters fight, except you get to choose who runs that platform puzzle. So take one of the persons that was in the middle and make them the runner. And then take the other person and put them up on one of the pads where the Daughters were, so they can help take out these ogres that will spawn here momentarily. Once you get the fight going, some takers are going to spawn behind pads 1 and 4. Make sure you get ready to take them out. 2 knights are going to spawn here on pads 1 and 4. Make sure you take them out so you can actually initiate the first phase. Now that those knights are down, Oryx is going to move to a pad. He's going to hit it down with his fist, marking the first pad to be stepped on. Same thing as the Daughters fight, he just shows you your first pad. He'll leave a little ball there. The player who's the runner needs to get up there first, because that allows them to become taken or torn between dimensions. Now it's going to be the same thing as the Daughters running the platform puzzle. After you get on these platforms, ogres are going to spawn next to each pad in the order they're stepped on. Shoot across, help each other take them out. Sniper rifles, scout rifles, machine guns, and fusion grenades are your best bet for this part. Once the runner gets the buff, instead of going to where the Daughters were, he's going to jump towards the edge of this walkway where a knight's going to spawn. He's going to go over there and steal the brand of immortality just like you do with the Daughters. At that point, about when that happens, those ogres should be dead and they'll leave a black ball. Make sure this knight dies as quickly as possible and that everybody converge in the center and get in that brand of immortality. Oryx is going to open up his chest and you're going to light it up and you're going to stagger him. Once he's staggered, each player that was holding a pad will go back to where that ogre died next to that pad. So for example, pad holder 4 will go back to the ogre that died next to pad 4 and stand in that black ball that was dropped until it says in the bottom left that their name has detonated a corrupted light. Once you see that, everybody's going to cuddle up in that immortality buff and stay there until the bombs detonate. This is how you do all of the damage to Oryx, so you need to make sure you get all of those bombs to detonate. And that completes phase 1, which in turn initiates phase 2. Oryx is going to go back to that starting position and back off the arena. He's going to start to constantly drop bombs on each player's last position. The best way to outrun these bombs is to constantly be running a circle. So each player holding a pad can go back to their respective pads and run a circle, while the runner runs a figure 8 pattern in the center. That extra player can go up to one of the daughter pads and run a circle up there. Be sure not to overlap each other, because if somebody crosses into your bomb, it will hurt them as well. This concludes phase 2, and you simply continue on with restarting with phase 1. Since this is phase 1, again, make sure everybody gets back to their respective pads, and that extra player goes up to one of the Daughters' pads to help shoot those ogres. Oryx is going to go slam his fist on the first pad you need to step on. Make sure the runner gets on that pad first so they can become taken or torn between dimensions. And then get on the pads in the order, same thing as the Daughters fight, that counterclockwise ascending platform setup. Those ogres are going to spawn in the order that those platforms are stepped on. So make sure you shoot across and take those guys out, because they will drop those black balls which will become relevant to damaging Oryx later on. When the runner gets that buff, he's going to run towards the edge of the walkway and drop that buff on that knight. Once he does that, those ogres should be dead, and make sure you kill this knight as quickly as possible, and then everybody head towards the center, where you will all meet up in that immortality buff. Get ready to damage Oryx, shoot him in the chest so you can stagger him. Again, once he's staggered, each of those pad holders will run to those ogres that died next to their pads and stand in that black ball to detonate the corrupted light. and once they see their name, they will run back to this immortality buff to try their best to survive the explosion. If they don't make it in time, they will die outside the buff, but it is okay, you can res them later on. Once you get Oryx below 50% health, that will initiate Phase 3. Phase 3 is very similar to the last mission of the Taken King story, Regicide, where you get teleported to a room and you fight Oryx. It's the same thing, you just fight a shade of Oryx, and that you can actually shoot through the mist in this room. So when you get there, you're going to shoot Oryx and try to kill him as quickly as possible. The only catch is one player is teleported at a time. So it's really good to call out your number when you're sent in. So I was first, so I said 1. And the second player would say 2, etc. until you hear 6. Once a 6th player gets there, you have a limited time to kill the shade, or else you will wipe. It's really good if you have a Night Stalker in your fire team. Whenever he comes in with a sword and smacks it down, that they shoot that shadow shot at him, keeping him tethered down so he won't leave, allowing for you to do extra damage. We only had 2 people alive here at this part, so it was extremely difficult, but we managed to get it done. When you hear that 6th person again, you'll have a limited time to kill this shade before Oryx will wipe your fire team. Once you successfully kill the shade, you will be teleported out of the room, and you will resume with Phase 1. So if anybody died in that encounter, make sure you get them all up so everybody can get to their pads or their positions and be ready to repeat Phase 1. Oryx is going to hit his fist on one of those pads, marking the first pad to step on. Make sure the platform runner gets on that pad first so he can become taken, and get on those pads in that counterclockwise order. Those ogres are going to spawn in that order, so make sure you help each other and take them out as quickly as possible. Again, once the runner gets the buff, he's going to head towards the top of the page, or that 12 o'clock position, to drop the buff on that knight and steal the brand of immortality. Once that is complete, make sure you kill that knight as quickly as possible. Now, something to be careful of is you cannot detonate any of those black orbs early. As you can see in the bottom left, this section, we just did that. The reason why you don't want to do that is because the bombs will detonate before you stagger Oryx, getting rid of the rest of the bombs. So he will take no damage, and if this happens, you essentially just forfeit the opportunity to damage Oryx. Now, it's not the end of the world if this happens. The enragement timer gives you plenty of room for error. So don't panic and don't start freaking out saying you all need to wipe, because you still have a chance to do this here. So what you're going to do is you're just going to play it out until Oryx will move back to that 12 o'clock position, and you'll repeat Phase 3, since he's below 50% health. So again, this occurred because we detonated one of the black balls being the corrupted lights before we staggered him, so the bombs just exploded and did nothing to Oryx. You need to stagger him, so then you detonate those bombs, and he's vulnerable, so it actually hurts him. So moving on from what just happened, we are going to be put into Phase 3, that room that we're all teleported to one at a time. If you're outside the room, you want to go ahead and kill ads. There are going to be 2 knights on pads 1 and 4, which you mainly want to focus on taking out. And then after you do that, thralls will be coming in from the left and right side of that ball. Go ahead and shoot them so they actually don't go into the room and hurt the players trying to kill the shade. Again, using that shadow shot will keep them tethered down and help you do extra damage. Be sure to be calling out those numbers as you get sent to the room, so everybody can know when that 6th player gets there that you need to hurry up and kill the Shade of Oryx. Once you kill him, you'll all be removed from the room again, and you're going to continue on with the fight, doing Phase 1 again. Once everybody gets teleported out of the room, they will all need to hurry back to their respective positions. Oryx is going to smack his fist down on the pad, marking that to be the first one stepped on. Make sure the platform runner gets on there first to become taken, and then step on those pads in the counterclockwise order, similar to the Daughters fight. Those ogres are going to spawn again in that order, so make sure you shoot across, help each other out, and get them killed as quickly as possible. Once the platform runner gets that buff, he's going to jump down towards that knight that spawns in at the top of the page there. Going to drop that buff, getting the brand of immortality, and kill that knight as quickly as possible. And once that's done, everybody head towards the center of the room so they can get ready to stagger Oryx. Once Oryx is staggered, make sure each pad holder goes back to their respective pads to stand in those black balls where those ogres died to detonate the corrupted light. Once they see their name on the bottom left screen detonating the corrupted light, they can go ahead and run back to the center of the room and get in that immortality buff to survive the explosions. Now that you have completed that, have your fire team prepare to repeat phase 3. If you are outside the room, make sure you're clearing ads so the people inside can focus on the shade. As you get sent, be sure to call your number out loud so the other members of your fire team know how many people are in the room. And when again you get to that 6th person, you have limited time to kill the shade, so you need to speed things up when you hear the number 6. If somebody dies inside the room, it is okay. Their ghost will just pop outside of the room and they can be rezzed after the phase. Once you kill that shade, you will be teleported out of the room, giving you an opportunity to res any fallen players and have everybody go back to their positions for phase 1. Oryx will move to a pad and smack his fist on it, marking the first pad that needs to be stepped on. He will leave that white orb there for the platform runner to make sure they get up there first so they can become taken. And then have the following players get in their positions in that counterclockwise order. Those ogres will spawn as well in that order, so make sure you're shooting across with sniper rifles, scout rifles, and throwing grenades. When the runner gets that buff, he will head towards where that knight comes in at the top of the page, or that 12 o'clock position. Drop that buff and steal the brand of immortality. Kill that knight as quickly as you can, and then be sure to head to the center to damage Oryx again. Once Oryx is staggered, make sure each of those pad holders go to those respective black orbs close to the pads and stand in them so the detonated corrupted light can occur. Once they see their name in the bottom left, they will come right back to the buff of immortality so they can survive the detonation. Now this initiates phase 4. Oryx has 0 health left. He will move back to that 12 o'clock position where he started, and he will open his chest one last time. You'll need to unload everything you got, because if you do not do enough damage, he will wipe your team. So shoot him in the chest and make sure you get him down. And there you go. You just beat the King's Fall raid.